Okay, with this film we're going to talk about tweening. And a tween is when the animation program does the in-between stages for you. And for instance, in the old days, if you had several cars like this, if you look down here at the timeline, there's layers. There's one frame of the movie. I'm going to go ahead and give this make this a 60 frame animation. So I'm going to press and drag here in the timeline. And the function key F5 at the top of your keyboard, F5, will extend these layers for 60 frames. Okay, so this movie is now 60 frames long, but nothing happens in it. Nothing moves. Okay, but if I wanted to animate these things in the old days, what I would have to do, frame 1, that little dot means that's a keyframe. If I wanted it to move a little bit, I would go to frame 5 and move this forward a little bit and hit F6 there. Actually, when the entire layer is selected and you hit F6, every frame becomes a keyframe. So I could then go to frame 1, put this here, frame 2 would be there, and frame 3 it would be there. So that's how you used to have to animate it, one frame at a time. But what Flash can do is Flash can start your film here at the beginning, and then at the end of the film you can place the object here, and Flash will do everything in between. Even if the car was to take a route and go up and down and all around with a motion guide, which we'll talk about later, Flash would still create every frame in between. So let me show you how that's done. Let me undo here to back before I had keyframes. Okay. Alright, so here I'm going to just line up all my cars here at the start of the race. Like this. Okay. Alright, that is frame 1, the way they all are. And I'm going to make what's called a motion tween. And just to help me out here, let me label my layers. So that's red car. And I can see which layer is which by clicking on the eyeball. That's the green car. So green car. This is then the blue car. Blue car. Okay. Alright, I'm going to animate the blue car first, and you do want to put different elements that are being animated. You want them to be on separate layers. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue car. I've got the blue car selected. Now what I'm going to do is control press. I'm going to hold down the control key, press with my mouse, and select create motion tween and let go. And what that's done is if I deselect, you can see that this layer is now blue. That means that it's ready to do a motion tween. So there's frame 1. Now all I have to do is move the red marker to frame 60, the end of my film. And since I'm on frame 60, I can now move the car where I want it to be on frame 60. And I'll just say that I want it to be there. Or actually it's going to win, so I'll just have it there where the little bump is. And you can see that this little dotted line appeared. That's my motion path. And if I move the red marker, I can see how the car is going to move. So Flash did all those in-between frames for me. That's called a motion tween. Okay, so I'll go down to the green car, same thing. Control press, create motion tween, move the marker out to frame 60, and I want this car to be not quite as far along. Okay. Now I'll go to the red car. Again, I'm going to click on the keyframe. I'll do control press, create motion tween, then move the marker to the end, and then move the car where it's going to go. And so here, you see they're all moving at a different rate. As I move the marker, they all move differently. And you can test your movie with the key commands, command, return, and you can then see your film. It'll pop up in your browser sometimes, and it just kind of loops, and there's ways to stop the looping, which we'll talk about later. Okay, but that is how to do a motion tween. Now we'll also talk about how you can alter this path right here, and I could alter it. I can just play with it. I can press on it and do some bizarre stuff to it, which means that car is going to go, whoa, it's going to go in bizarre paths. A simpler way to talk about it would be to do a bouncing ball. Okay, that would be simpler. So I'm going to just select everything, start over here, delete this. There we go. Call this ball. And in my library, I've already got a ball, I think. Yeah, it's a yellow ball. So I can start with the ball up here. And I need to actually, it's inherited, since this layer used to have something on it and it had a motion tween and it had a path. It's inherited that path, which I don't want. So first thing I got to do is I got to control press here and do remove motion, and it'll be gone. Okay, so now now the motion tween is gone. So it's back to as if I was starting over. So I've got the ball here. I have a 60-second animation, or 60 frame rather, which is about, it's over 2 seconds. Okay, I want a motion tween, and this is a symbol, so I'll do control press, create motion tween. I'll move the marker down to about, I don't know, maybe 10, and in 10 frames I'm going to have it down there, and then at 20 frames I'll have it come up here, and then at 30 something I'll have it go there, 40 something I'll have it go up a little less, and then about to 50 have it come down, and 60 I'll just have it go off. Okay, and so there we go. It's got a path. It's going to be a bouncing ball. Okay, but you know, maybe I want the bounce to be more of a curve. Well, I can do that by just pressing on the motion guide and making it more curvy. And I can do that here, and so I can alter this path. And if I say, you know what, that needs to be higher, I can do that. This needs to be higher. You know, I can play with these. I can say, no, I don't want it to land there. I want it to land here. I can adjust all this stuff. And then I can do a command return, and there's my bouncing ball. And that's how you do a motion tween.